Hey there, all you cats and kittens. Welcome to Marvelous Movie Mondays. I am Dill. That's Kels. That's Kels. Sorry, wrong way. Kels, how you doing? Happy Monday. What's up?
I'm good, Dill. Happy Monday. Happy to be here. Um, Happy to be participating in like a very little to no prep video. Not
I'm
that I
glad you
don't like prepping the videos, but it's just like
Kelsey and I have different views on prep. Whereas like her prep is like watching something, taking notes on something. My like very egregious prep is like going through IMDb and looking up every actor ever. So for me, this is
right.
actually the most prep I've done for an
Oh,
episode
okay.
because
Interesting.
usually I don't come with real like notes. I have like bullet points, but you kind of have like the more in depth notes, and I kind of bounce off of that. But here I'm like I need to actually come with something. So like I actually had to like go through my letterbox list and see what movies I like and what movies I liked actors from, and then also what actors are not in the MCU. I then had to go like do background checks on all of them, and some of
Yeah.
them are still in the MCU. It's still on my list, so I don't care.
Right.
But you saw the title of the video. We are casting the next men of X-Men. I say next men, next men and women, and they and them, but like it works with the alliteration, people. But the next men of X-Men is our episode today. We were gonna do a Days of Future Past retrospective review, but we've already reviewed it on here. So to tie in Days of Future Past into the retrospective that we're doing on the channel for 2014, we thought, why don't we look at the Days of our future, quite literal future, and think about who we would put in the different roles of the core X-Men group. We kind of went with like the X-Men 97 group because that's like the core foundational group in the comics. I know the movies have like added like Mystique and Iceman and all these other people, but like we're really looking at that core group and seeing who we think should be cast in each role. And then we're going to put a poll on Facebook so you can decide for yourself who you think of our options and our suggestions you would like to see. Before we get to it, though, Kels, what was the best thing you watched this week?
Oh, I
I
was
always
trying to
hit you
think
with
of
this,
that.
and you always
Oh, okay.
okay. Tell me.
So the best thing I watched this week was because I was down the shore this past weekend, for 4th of July festivities and my dad's birthday and what's not.
Happy birthday,
Um
Kev.
and so I was down there with my cousin, and a tradition that we have from childhood is every time we're down the shore together is watching the movie Aquamarine with JoJo and Emma Roberts.
I remember this
And it
tradition.
is
Yep.
a perfect film. It is literally a 10 out of 10 film. It was so ahead of its time. I believe it's from 2006. And
Mm.
basically the premise of the movie is that JoJo and Emma Roberts have to help this mermaid named Aquamarine because they want to get a wish, because when you help a mermaid, you get a wish. And so basically they have to help her fall in love. But, like, really at the end of the movie, like, spoiler alert, the real love they find is within their friendship. And it's just, like, so beautiful and, like, heartwarming and just, like,
Mm.
tickles the feminist spot in my brain. It makes me so happy.
I love it. I've actually never seen it, so that might be one of my
Highly recommend.
on the podcast I do the wait. Dill has never seen this. That'll be for August because it is your birth month. I will watch Aquamarine for that.
Oh my god. I'm
So yeah,
honored.
I will report back. I've been seeing a lot of shit lately. I've been like trying to catch up on like my I didn't have like a super busy June, but like there was just like a week or two that I couldn't get to the theater and I kind of like piled it back up. So I like went to the theater like last week like 4 or 5 times. I saw Kinds of Kindness, which was pretty good. I saw Maxine, which I thought was probably the worst thing I've seen this summer. And yeah, I know I
No!
was very very disappointed. I saw Quiet Place Day One, which I thought was good as like a character drama, not as much a horror film because it kind of just repeats the same horror beats. But the one I really liked that I was surprised that I liked the most of all these was Horizon, the Kevin
Oh.
Costner Western. So I don't know if
Mhm.
you know about this, Kels, but basically he pitched this to the studios or whatever, and they're like, no, just make it a series because he pitched it as this long like Western epic, and he said, no, I want to make it in theaters because I've been doing Yellowstone for 3 years, making money. Wanting to do this passion project that I've been writing since the 80s. He basically used all his finances that he made off of Yellowstone, his own money, and put it into this. Um, and it's his passion project. It's a 12-hour film, but he's releasing it in 4 parts at 3 hours. So it's one final 12-hour product, but like you're going to theater, you're seeing the first 3 hours, and then in August they're releasing part two, and then next year they're releasing parts three and four, which I think is really cool because
Wow.
it's like it's almost like you're merging the idea of television in a cinematic form, where it's like we still want you
Yeah.
to see it in the biggest, grandest way with the biggest visuals and all the sound, because it is an epic story, and we don't want to diminish it by putting it on a TV screen. Not to say that TV is not epic in its own way, but there is a different medium. It is a very different medium, as much as people want to say they're one of the same. And he's putting in theaters, and he's like, I'm not gonna edit it down, like it's gonna be this, and if it doesn't make money, I don't care because it's my own money. Like I think that's a really
Mhm.
yeah. My friend Larry that I did Band on the Run with is in it. He's in like the first 20 minutes and then gets killed. Sorry, spoiler alert, but I was like, damn, Larry.
No,
But he has
Larry.
a great little role. And the movie's just really good. It's like 4 or 5 different like families in this like Western landscape. And yeah, it's just really, really good. It was like a really good like expositionary. It was exposition, but a lot still went on. But it showed how they all are now going toward something similar together, where I'm sure they'll all convene. But it kind of starts now with them all like a little fragmented, which is kind of cool. Because I know
Mhm.
we're gonna watch them come together over the next 3 movies. So I really recommend it. I think it's really good, especially if you're a Western fan. If you're not, it might not be your cup of tea. I'm actually not a super big Western fan, so I think I was surprised so much that I did like it. But I think it's like
Mhm.
comfortably next to like if Planet of the Apes is still playing, I don't know. And like I know a lot of people love Inside Out too as well. I think it's like the best
Mhm.
thing in theaters now that you could see if you wanted to go see something. So I
Mm.
recommend it, but it is long, so be wary of that. Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So it's a recommendation.
Interesting.
I bet like one person will probably listen to this and actually go see it because it hasn't been doing well at the box office, but it is what it is. No Marvel news from me, Kels. Do you have any Marvel news?
I don't have any Marvel
All right.
news. Nothing on my
Um,
radar.
I was gonna say I don't. It's not Marvel news, but I have seen that for all the R-rated movies in theaters right now, they are replacing the opening. Right before Nicole Kidman comes out, there's like that stupid like 5 minute long thing where the guy's like in a horror movie, and then he's dancing at the club, and then he's like
Yeah, yeah,
kissing
yeah.
kissing the girl and drinking the coke. They replace
Yeah,
it with
yeah.
Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, basically like telling the audience to like Wolverine's basically telling the audience to fuck off. He's like, you with your fucking bone bear in the back row, because it's R rated, so they're allowed to play it. And then
Right,
Deadpool,
right.
they're as Wolverine and Deadpool. I should specify that. And then Deadpool's like, no, the honey, calm down, like the whole routine. But I like that a lot more than like the typical like. Please turn off your cell phone. Da 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 da. And no exits on the far right of this. Like all that shit. Where I'm like,
Right,
I already
right.
just sat through 25 minutes of trailers. You really want me to sit through another like 5 minutes of you talking to me and telling me shit I already should know that's common sense that some people still don't oblige by. But anyway, if you go see an R-rated
Right.
movie like Maxine, you'll probably see that. So very exciting. It also played before Furiosa for me as well. So I think it's only for R-rated stuff. But Kelsey, we got our X-Men, the next men of X-Men. We're gonna basically talk about who we would cast. I have a few options I'm floating around. Then Kelsey can kind of whittle down my list and say I like that one the best of yours because we're not gonna put like 5 names on the ballot, but we're going to put names on the ballot for you to vote for on Facebook. We have the following roles we'll be casting, which is kind of the core 97 group. We have, of course, Professor X and Magneto. Then we have Cyclops and Jean Grey. Then we have Wolverine. We have Rogue. We have Gambit. We have Jubilee. We have Storm. We have Mr. Beast. And, of course, because we can't forget them, even though they are not in the MCU or any film yet, any X-Men films yet, we are going to cast Morph because we think that'd be cool if they did bring Morph into the MCU, especially because things are allowed to be a little bit more publicly woke in film. But it's tough because MCU, we don't know what's going to happen with this casting. We don't know if we are going to get a whole overhaul or if, because we saw in the post credits of Miss Marvel or of the Marvels, Kelsey Grammer's still Beast. So it's like that question of like,
Mhm.
what are they keeping? What are they not? Are they going to just like set up this whole new multiverse with a whole new team? What's going to happen? Are they going to even do that? Or are they just going to stick with the ones they have and just kind of not have new X-Men instead of the characters we all know? So it's a big question mark. And I think we wanted to get this done before Deadpool and Wolverine came out in case they use that film to announce the new lineup, which I always said would be a perfect time to be like,
Mhm.
this is the perfect time to open the multiverse and show who the new X-Men are. But again,
Right.
I don't know. So Kels, where do we start? Who do we want to start with? Do we want to start with Professor X? He's like the leader.
Yeah. That
Sure.
sounds
Okay.
good.
Cool. I have a few names right now. I have 4 names, but I'm only really in love with 2 of them. And it's tough
Okay.
because one of them is an MCU name. So,
It
um,
was really, really hard to like I felt like these characters, especially now coming off of the animated series, like their tropes and like the types and like the actors who should play them should be so specific, not necessarily like, I'm not necessarily looking for like Patrick Stewart's like carbon copy, like old
Right.
white British man, but it's just like I was just like looking in the realm of like old actors in general. And I just
Mm.
like, I don't know. I felt like I was
Well,
and
it's tough.
also
Yeah,
actors
go
that
ahead.
haven't touched an MCU or
Right.
Marvel project
It's
as
hard.
well,
That's hard.
because the
Marvel's a
MCU
little
has
bit
gotten
more.
a lot of good ones.
Yeah, Marvel's a little bit more, like, forgivable because, like, Chris Evans was Human Torch and then he was Cap, like, I'm not worried about
Right.
that, but, like, yeah, you're right, like, a lot of names I wrote down, like, spoiler alert, one of my Professor X options was Jeffrey Wright because I think he'd be fantastic, but, like, he's the
Mm.
Watcher, so, like, can we put him on the list? I don't know,
Mhm.
and that's what's also
Mhm.
tough is because like, we saw First Class in Days of Future Past, there we've seen very young versions of the older characters, but then, like,
Mhm.
in X-Men, like, Rogue is a kid, and, like, a lot of them are adults. And then we see in like X-Men 97, they're all around the same age with like Professor X and Magneto being the two old guys. So it's like tough to kind of gauge like where they're gonna go age-wise too. So some of these I have like really young options, but also some older options. So it's really tough. Jeffrey Wright was on my list, but I don't think he's gonna be my pick just because like he is the Watcher. So like I don't know if
Yeah.
they'd want to do that unless they
I,
want to
uh
make the Watcher Professor X, which would be kind of cool. But
I have,
um
Jeffrey Wright as a different character,
oh, you do?
and
Okay, so there we go.
unabashedly, like, that is my pick because I
I think
cannot
I know
picture
exactly
anyone
what you're
else.
talking about, but
Okay.
like, yeah, like, Jeffrey Wright would fit really well with the X-Men because he's also got that,
Yeah.
like, more, like, sciencey kinda, like, smart vibe to him,
Yeah.
of, like, very intellect. I think I know where you're going with that, but, um,
We'll
give me your
see.
pi who is your pick? Like, who did you pick as, like, your
Okay,
Professor X?
so it's it's yeah, I don't love it, but I do like it, and I can see it, and I'm envisioning it, and I'm hearing it, and I like it, but still, like, I don't know. Anyway, I have Morgan Freeman for
Okay.
Professor X.
Alright, I'm just gonna do an age check on him because the only thing with
He's,
Morgan Freeman. Yeah,
he's
go ahead.
87.
Yeah.
I already
So
checked. I
so the
already checked.
so the only thing with Morgan Freeman is, like, I love it, but also, like, they have to use him for a movie. Like, they can't, like, make him Professor X, like, a mainstay, but as we saw with, this recent season for a while, like, a lot of it was in the wake of his passing that, like, if you bring him in for as, like, a very bit role and don't make Professor X too much of a centerpiece, I think it
Mhm.
could work. I worried he'd be a little too old, like, because you're kinda locking down these actors for, like, a franchise, like, few year run,
No, for
um,
sure.
like 10 movie contract, like, I don't think he would get that, but it could be
Yeah.
cool as, like a not a cameo, but, like, if you were to make Professor X more of, like, a Uncle Ben figure in a way, like, have him in
Mhm.
in the film for a little while and then have him bite it, and then have the rest of the team kind of rally around that, and that's how you set it up. I think that could be pretty cool. I like Morgan Freeman. I mean, I love the pick. If it was, like,
He's
20 years
only
ago, I'd be
4
like, "Slam
years
dunk."
yeah, he's only 4 years older than Patrick Stewart, so I thought I could
Patrick
get away with
Stewart
it.
did it 20 years ago.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
but I like
Well,
the
he
pick.
just did it for Multiverse of Madness, though,
Yeah.
so he was there.
So there's someone I have in both the Professor X and Magneto spot, and I really like them as Magneto, but I also
Okay.
think they would kill it as Professor X, and
Okay.
That's Killian Murphy. I think he'd be so
Oh,
good.
damn!
I think he'd
That's
be
such a good
so
pick.
but I also really like the idea of him being Magneto. But the other names
Ah,
I toyed around Mark Strong, who I think would be fine. He's solid. Yeah, a lot of this episode is gonna be like me and Kelsey pulling up our phones to look at IMDb to make sure we
yeah.
know who our pick is. He was in the
I'm like, "What if
Shazam
I s"
movies. Like he's one of
Okay.
those that guys. Like he's in a lot of stuff. It's just like I don't know. Mark Strong just seems like if you're gonna go with the basic white guy pick, older British
Sure,
white guy,
sure.
that's Mark Strong. Not to say he's basic, he's a great actor, but another one I thought about, and this is like something that's always been like the rumor mill of people like really wanting it to happen, is Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad and from The Mandalorian. Again, you would have like a person of color as Professor X, which would be really cool. But he has just like that stature that I think you need for it as well. Like he's kind of got that more like proper vibe to him. Um, I don't know though, Kels. Like of my options, do you have a favorite?
Okay, I really like Killian Murphy, but I think I like him more for Magneto because I think that he just has that, like, darkness about him that could, like, work really well.
Okay, so maybe I put like Giancarlo Esposito on the list with Morgan Freeman, and we make that the bracket for now, and we can always maybe put Killian on both of them and just see what the public if they'd rather see him as Professor X or as Magneto. That could be a fun option. Do we want to do that?
Yeah.
Cool. So we're gonna
I
put
like this.
Giancarlo Esposito, Killian Murphy, and Morgan Freeman on the ballot, and then you guys can vote and tell us who you would like to see as Professor X. Let's just now segue to Magneto, because as I said, Killian's one of my
Okay.
three options, and probably my favorite option if they're gonna go slightly like middle aged man. I have like one who's like younger, one who's middle aged, and then one who I don't really know how old he is, but he's more of like a character actor. But um, I should I'll start this one. I think Dev Patel would crush Magneto. I think he'd be really really
Ooh, I
good.
love
Um,
Dev Patel.
yeah, because he's also got like a British accent. I think that could really work well, even though Magneto's not really British. I mean, he is in some versions.
Right.
I also consider Killing Murphy, obviously, and then another one I had was just because I had just seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. His name's Kevin Durand. He was actually in X Men Origins Wolverine, which is the only problem because like. That's a little bit of iffy
Mm.
crossover there, but Kevin Durand, the reason I picked him is because he's got like this really like deep booming voice, and he's very tall,
Mm.
and every time he speaks in Planet of the Apes, it's kind of like this big, like deep baritone. And I was watching that performance of Planet of the Apes, and I thought like this could be a really cool like Magneto performance, because you need to like still have this endearing quality, magnetic, quite literally magnetic quality to him of like you need to lean in and see him and watch him. Um,
Yeah.
the only other thing, and this is like just more of like a logistical thing with Dev Patel, is that like the Holocaust thing would be a little harder to sell just due to like ethnicity and race.
Right. Right.
Like Killian Murphy would definitely fit the like little Jewish boy better. But like again, like I don't
Mhm.
know if that's necessarily like just because Killian Murphy looks almost Polish, I guess. Like I don't think that
Right,
really
right.
should affect it. But I
Right.
like all my three picks though. Kevin Durant's more of like the, if you want to get like someone who's more like lesser known and like can make this a breakout. Dev Patel's if you want to
Mhm.
go in like a really interesting younger direction, and Killian Murphy, I think if you want the star power. But I don't know if Killian Murphy would do it because I think he's set. But I don't know.
Ugh, Dev
Who's your
Patel's
pick?
a great, pick deal. I wanted to figure out a way to put Dev Patel into one of these characters just because I like him so much as an actor.
He's great.
Um, my so I actually do have 2 names down for
Okay, cool.
Magneto. The
We'll put
first
two
one
of your
that
names.
Hmm?
I said so
What'd
for
you
the
say?
poll, we can put like both of the names on since we put two of my names for the last one. But
Sure. So the first one that I thought of, which I thought would be really, really cool, was actually Coleman Domingo.
oh fuck, that'd be so good.
But
That'd be
I had the
so fucking
same
good.
thought about the Holocaust and, like, the whole, like, Jewish background of it all. So then I actually went with someone who I think more, like, is the look of, like, specifically the animated version of Magneto,
Mm,
just with, like, long,
long hair.
like, not, like, long white hair, even though he could grow it out. I haven't seen him with long hair, but,
I was gonna say you're
um
going Lucius Malfoy for this.
No, but that
I think he's a
chill,
little
that's
too old. I think he's a little too old at this
Jason,
point. Jason
Jason
Isaac?
Isaac?
You know what? He
Oh,
might work. He might work.
that's not a bad pick at
I'm
all,
putting him on the
Bill.
list. I'll put him on the ballot. I'll put him on the ballot.
I actually put Sam Elliott.
That'd be fucking awesome. You're gonna go
Yeah.
get me some magnets. I'm gonna fuck you up with some magneto power, my friend. I love
Okay,
that.
well, he'd have to neutralize his accent a
I don't
little
know if he
bit,
can, but
but
I'd love
oh,
that. That Sam Elliott as Magneto would be freaking cool. I like all those options. Yeah, I like Jason Isaacs. I like Sam Elliott. I like Coleman Domingo. Like we potentially have six names we could put on the ballot. Do we want to just put all six, or do we want to whittle this down? Like if we're the casting directors, do we want to pass them all to callbacks, or do we want to cut some?
should we limit it to 3? I feel like we shouldn't give people, like
All right, let's limit it to three, but unless we have like only two. But like, what do
yeah,
you what do you who's? How about this? You pick your favorite of my options. I'll pick my favorite of your options, and then we'll put Jason Isaacs because that was kind of a thought we had together, maybe.
yeah.
All right, which of
Um,
my three? Kevin Durant, Killian Murphy, and Dev Patel would you like to see best?
oh, Killian Murphy, for
Okay,
sure.
so Killian Murphy's going on the list. And then of your three, I like the Sam Elliott idea, but I think I like Coleman Domingo a little bit more. I think they
Yeah,
would just have to
me too.
rework it, but I think Coleman Domingo would be great. So there we go. Jason
Yeah.
Isaacs, Coleman Domingo, Killian Murphy are the three on the ballot. It's a great pick. I'm almost wondering, do we want to like maybe throw one of these guys over to Professor X instead of Killian Murphy because he's in both, or just leave him on both and see what the public prefers?
Um,
Like, do we put Dev Patel at Professor X? Would that work?
no, I don't really see
Yeah, I
him
don't
as a
think. Okay,
Professor
cool. So we'll
X.
keep killing them both. We'll keep killing them both. Do we want to put Sam Elliott in Professor X? Probably not.
No.
I got that intuition. No. All right, let's get to the big one. This is the one that everyone's kind of talking about. Can you? Will you? How? And that's Wolverine. That's like the big one that I think a lot of people are like, how are we going to recast this and live up to Hugh Jackman? How are we going to cast someone who's also like
Right.
ripped and built, but also kind of short? Because like that's the whole thing with Wolverine. He's a little guy. So
Right, right.
I have 5 names. I actually came up with 5 names.
Wow.
One is much older. So I might scratch him off the list now, and that's Sam Worthington from the Avatar movies. He was actually just in Horizon, and actually watching him in Horizon, I was like, I could see him as a Wolverine. He's like scrappy, but I think there's a guy on my list who is like a younger version of Sam Worthington. So I'm not gonna keep Sam Worthington on the list, but it was a good idea of mine, I think. But I'm not gonna put him on the list. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, who is your like top option for Wolverine now?
So, Dill, I could really only come up with one name. This is the only really like scrappy, like kind of really tough, you know, rough, uh, tough guy I could think of. Um, and that's Shia LaBeouf.
Oh man. Okay. Um yeah, I mean he would work. Yeah.
I just think
I
that, he's very like animalistic. Like
yeah.
he's a big guy and I don't know, I can just see it. I can picture it. It's
Yeah, no,
very
he
hard not to just picture like Hugh Jackman because he does it so
right.
perfectly.
Right. Yeah. The only the thing with Shia is again you would have to make him I think Wolverine a little bit more of a supporting role because I don't know if you want him to be on like all the press junkets and everything. Being out front. But like maybe it could be a good redemption story for his career. Like have this guy like kind of show that he's grown up a bit,
Yeah.
and get his anger out through his claws and fighting rather than beating on women. It might be a good idea. I do
What?
think Shia, oh no, I just broke Kelsey's heart here. Shia's not a great person, but I don't think that's held back. They cast Jonathan Majors. Um, I don't know if Shia would do it. I think Shia would be a good pick if we're not looking at Shia. If we're looking at his like acting, I think it would work. The only problem is I don't know with like just who Shia is. I don't know if it would work 100%. Um, I don't know.
Songs. He makes music.
I don't know. Well, no, but let's keep him on the ballot though, because he has a good idea. But can I just tell you my other options for Wolverine here? Um, so one of them I thought about. I just saw Challengers. Obviously, you saw Challengers. We love Challengers. Josh O'Connor would be, I think, really, really good. I mean, he kind of had that like scrappy, kind of more not animalistic vibe, but like if you look at like him and Mike Feist in that movie, like he's definitely the more like Wolverine. And actually, spoiler alert, I have Mike Feist in another role because I saw the two of them playing tennis and I was like, this would be a great this and this. If you kind of pick up what I'm putting down there. And then also
Okay.
I really like John Boyega from the Star Wars franchise. I think it'd be cool to have like a Wolverine of color, which would be really cool. I don't think he's done an MCU movie yet. I'm not sure.
No.
But he was great in The Woman King. Also, I think he'd be really good and scrappy. Another one that's like the name that everyone throws out there is Taron Egerton. I think Taron Egerton would be great.
Oh.
I honestly wonder if he's a little
I
too clean for it though. I wonder if
I
he's like a
think
little
he's like
not scrappy enough. Like
y-
he's almost a little too sweet for me. But a lot of people
yeah.
are like the idea because he is a little small and scrappy. Um,
Yeah.
and then the last name I have, coming hot off the Bear season 3, is Jeremy Allen White. I think that'd be really cool. See him just kind of like come up with his claws, kind of doing that like face of like I don't give a fuck. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think all 4 of those options could work really well. I think the ones I'm most sold on are like Josh O'Connor and Taron Egerton. Like those are my top 2. I think.
The
Um,
guy from Challengers?
yeah, like the one who the Grizzly one. Like quite literally, I was watching him and Mike Feist play tennis, and I was like, that's Wolverine and Cyclops right there. Not to spoil my next pick, but like, yeah, I was like,
Oh,
it'd be
interesting.
it'd be
Okay.
really cool. But like, I don't know. What do you think of my picks? Like, who do you like? Your biggest reaction was Jeremy Allen White.
I mean, just because I didn't see that one coming at all.
I know, right?
Um, okay, what I will say though about I think Taron Egerton is just like too like wholesome, like sweet
I
boy.
agree, but
Like
it'd be cool to see him like do that.
to make that
Yeah,
transformation for
well, because
sure.
another name
I'm
people
not
throw
saying
around,
he wouldn't be able to do it. I'm just
another name
saying
other
like,
people throw around so much that I agree should not be on it because I just can't see it is Daniel Radcliffe. Like a lot of people are like he'd be such a good Wolverine, but like
oh,
because he's
No.
always been in talks for it. Like people are always like fan casting him and Taron Egerton. I think because of the
Oh,
stature.
really?
I think because Daniel Radcliffe's like a short little guy, but like that's the thing is like I
Yeah,
think
he's
they're
like
not
five
thinking.
four or something.
You still also have to be menacing enough, and
Mhm.
I can't separate the sweet little like Kingsman boy and Harry Potter from them. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that you need someone who's like the most masculine of the masculine, and Daniel Radcliffe and Taron Egerton are like not that trope in my head. You know what I
But
mean?
is Jeremy Allen White either though? But he's like a different kind. Like he's ripped. I mean, you
Well,
saw him in the
he's
Iron
like
Claw. He's
he's a tough cookie.
yeah. Like when he's
That
screaming at people at the
Jeremy Allen
pass
White.
in the bear, I'm like
Yeah.
that's Wolverine. I think Jeremy Allen White's going on the ballot. I will put Shia on because I do think he has the potential to be a good pick, like performance wise, and I think there could be a cool redemption arc there. Of the other three, who do we put on though? Taron Egerton, Josh O'Connor, John Boyega, are any of those like screaming like Wolverine to you?
I like John Boyega a lot.
All right, cool.
I would put him on.
All right, cool. So John Boyega is going on there with Shia and with Jeremy Allen White. That's just also a very different three too. I think Shia actually fits the role best if you're trying to emulate Hugh Jackman. But then Jeremy Allen White would just bring such a unique, like kind of like nonchalant attitude to it, and then John Boyega I think would get a lot of like the might and the girth and the fight of Wolverine. Cool. So I kind of teased it with Josh O'Connor. We might as well go to Cyclops next, because I did have Mike Feist on my list for Cyclops. Just because, like, I think Cyclops has to be a little bit more soft spoken, but also a good
Mhm.
leader, but also like an
Mhm.
endearing guy, but also be able to
Mhm.
like kind of have that like romance love triangle thing. And I think that's what Mike Feist does in Challengers, which is really funny. Like he kind of like
Yeah.
bottles it up and tries not to take it out in an aggressive way, but in a more like mannered way. So he's on my list.
Mhm.
I also considered if you're going a little older, I consider like Matt Bomer, who's really
Mm.
amazing as Cyclops. I considered Glenn Powell, but I just don't think Glenn Powell in the MCU. I think he's like kind of figured out his own like trajectory, kind of like Tom Cruise, where it's like he's not going to do the franchises. He's going to kind of stick to his own lane. Like Glenn Powell's one of the hottest stars right now. I think Marvel wants him, but I just don't know if he's wants to go there yet. And I just didn't see
Okay.
a role that fit for him, but I don't know, maybe. And then I also considered, and this is someone I consider in a lot of roles, but Jacob Elordi, I think is like obviously having a moment as well. He would be a good
Yeah.
leader, good kind of
Yeah.
figurehead if you want to cast this like leader role of the X-Men, like as the new cap of the X-Men. So my favorite picks of these are Mike Feist and Jacob Elordi, but like I have no problem putting Matt Bomer or Glenn Powell on as well. But who was your pick for Cyclops?
Okay, so Dill, really, really funny. Um, so love the Feist.
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 Yes.
Mike Feist pick. That was also another name that I just like put underneath where I was like, if I could just find a spot for them, that'd be
I
great.
think Cyclops
I
would be the most fitting for him,
I
but
think
I agree. It's
yes.
there's not a perfect fit for him, but we can
It's
make it
not
a
perfect, but it's definitely Cyclops is definitely the best, so I definitely like that name a lot. I also had Jacob Elordi for Cyclops, so
there
we
we
can
go.
definitely
Oh,
put
he's
that
definitely
name
on
on
the list.
the
Yeah.
ballot.
Okay.
Just because I think that he is like he has a strong enough like presence to him that he could be a leader, but he can also be like, the soft lover boy at some, parts. And then another name, it's funny that you bring up the whole love triangle. Um,
Did you have Josh
you
O'Connor
know,
for this one?
no.
Okay.
I thought that it's a little bit of a stretch, but I think I just like the idea of him like being in a new franchise and kind of having like a revamp to his career a little bit. So I put Taylor Lautner
Okay.
just because,
Okay.
just to like shake it up a
I
little
like how
bit.
you
And
did typecast him as Wolverine. I appreciate that.
oh,
Yeah.
no, no, no. He's not a Wolverine.
I think that'd be cool because also like I think the most bland part about him is his eyes, so you cover that up. Like no, but also like I think the thing with
Yeah.
Cyclops is he is a little bit more like plain, but not in a bad, boring way. But
Mhm.
I think that would be an interesting resurgence. Yeah, he's older, he's wiser, he's 10 years removed from Twilight. Like
Yeah.
I like that. I like how Kelsey's kind of giving everyone their like redemption arcs here. She's like Shia,
Yeah.
Taylor, like let's give you a shot. Like I like that. I okay, I'm down. So I'm taking Matt Bomer and Glenn Powell off my list. I'm keeping Mike Weiss, keeping Jacob Elordi, but I'm also putting on Taylor Lautner. That'd be really cool. I'm like already sold on that. Okay, cool. All right, now his love. his Jean Grey, who would also hopefully go on to do the Dark Phoenix storyline because they have to do that in every freaking X-Men iteration. I had four names here. One who I
Okay.
really like is Rogue, so I'm actually going to take her off and just save her for the Rogue conversation. So I have three names here. Um, who is your pick for though for Jean Grey? I need to hear because this was the
Okay.
hardest one for me because I really don't know age wise if how old or young they're going to lean.
Right. This pick like dawned on me in like a Hail Mary. Like I was scrolling, how I did this was like I went through my letterbox, was like going through what I've seen recently, IMDbing those movies, like, like I'm just trying to figure out like who have we not seen in a minute, and then like who is like having like a really big boom right now. Like I was trying to get a healthy mix of both. And I think someone who we haven't seen in a minute, who I think would absolutely crush it at this role, given if she trains really hard for it and works really hard for it, I would love to see Emma Watson do Jean Grey.
Ooh, I love that. I love that a lot. I didn't even
Yeah.
think of
So
that.
that's my pick.
I didn't even think of that. I love that. I'm putting it on the list. I love that. Um, yeah, that's a great pick. Again, because she is older still. Like she could be like the mother Jean Grey, but also like because we don't see her really as a mother much. Like she gives birth though, like so she has to be of that age, like getting married and stuff. It's almost like Little
Right.
Women. Like she's young, but the oldest of the young. I kind of like that a lot. Um, the one name that because I saw Horizon, I was like, I love this. I think she'd be a great Jean Grey, but she is like on the older end is Sienna Miller. And I don't actually know how old she is. Let me look her up. Sienna Miller. I also watched American Sniper recently, so like she's like just been on the forefront of the brain. She's 42 years old. So like if they want to really go for like the
Mm,
older Cyclops Jean Grey, but that might be a little too old, so I'm gonna take her off. But I think all my other two options are pretty solid. And my only fear is that I don't know if Shailene Woodley, who is one of my picks, would want to do it because she was MJ in Amazing Spider-Man 2 and they cut her and then they never made the
oh,
third movie. But this could be kind of a cool redemption for that. Like, oh, you didn't get your shot to play MJ in Spider-Man. Here's your shot to play Jean Grey. Maybe it's a redhead parallel. She's a little older, but still has that youthfulness to her, which I really like.
yeah,
And then
for
another name.
sure.
This was like my favorite name. Have you seen the show You?
Yeah.
Okay, Victoria
Victoria
Pedretti.
Pedretti.
Yeah, she'd be so good. What?
That's a good pick. That's a good
Yeah,
pick.
I think she'd just be solid. Like, I don't think she'd be like anything like too crazy. Like, I think people would see the casting and be like, okay, like I get
Right.
it. I think she'd be really
They'd
good.
be like, makes sense.
And I think the thing that's most convincing is of all the three that you named, Emma Watson, and then we also have Shailene Woodley and Victoria Pedretti. I think Victoria Pedretti would actually sell the Dark Phoenix stuff best because we've
Hmm.
seen her in You go really dark, and I think
Right.
that could be like a cool little like challenge. But also,
Yeah.
I love Emma Watson, and I like keeping Shailene on there because she hasn't been in the MCU yet, and I think that would be like a cool avenue to bring her in.
Yeah,
Are
for
you good with
sure.
that? Are you good with that three?
Yeah. I love
Cool.
those 3 names.
Sweet. Well, let's kind of take a break from the mainstay and let's go for our more niche category right now because he's on my list next, or they're on my list next. So let's go morph because I feel like this is
Okay.
gonna be a fun little like break in the middle. To talk about a character that we haven't seen in the MCU at all except for an animated form. So this could be fun. And I did cast actors of all genders. Though I do like the idea a lot of like having a non-binary actor. So I have two non-binaries, and then one heterosexual male presenting actor that I think could just play like the physicality really well. Um,
Mhm.
but I want to know from you, Kelsey, who did you have as your morph? Because this
So,
is probably the toughest one, I think.
I was definitely like, definitely researching actors who are more gender fluid because I think
Hmm.
it would be important to have that
Hmm.
representation. And this name came across on one of the lists, and I was like, you know what? I'm actually really into that, especially if they introduce morph as like, and they lean heavily on like a comedic relief kind of morph. I
Mm.
think that this person would do really really well, and it's actually Tony winner Alex Newell.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay.
So I'm just like really into the idea of that, like a
Yeah, I
lot.
mean, like, because you're kind of taking the convention. Because the thing with Morph, it's so interesting, is they physically have changed so much. But like
Right.
Alex Newell, like you're going from like more like the pale, skinny white man presenting to like a bigger black woman. Like I kind of like that
Yeah.
idea. Like Morph
Yeah.
being whatever it wants to be, whatever they want to be. Yeah, I
Exactly.
like that. And honestly, you give Morph a musical number too, which I think would be pretty freaking cool. So
Musical episode.
here are the names I toyed around. This is the one where I was like, physically, I think this would be a really great performance, and because I saw them in a movie where they are kind of like this, like malleable figure. I think it could work really well. And this is actually where I had Daniel Radcliffe, because I think if you bring in Daniel Radcliffe, you have to bring him into
Mm.
like a really cool, unique role. You can't have him try to replicate something that's already been done. And I think Morph could be
Yeah.
really interesting because like I don't know, watching him in Weird Al, he really transformed in that role, but also like seeing him in Swiss Army Man, he's literally being toyed around, used as a boat, used as like a machete, like he's being used as a quite little piece of like a tool. And I think that's
Yeah.
Morph's whole thing is he like Morph, they switch into whatever body or whatever form they want to. Um, I went with like a more like not basic pick, but I think Elliot Page would be a great pick also because then you can lean on like the um the gender storyline and stuff like that and like actually make a statement about it. But they did do Umbrella Academy, so it's like one of those things is like, do they want to dip their toe back in like the fantasy element of it? And then another one I really like, a little lesser known actor, but they are non-binary, Asia Kate Dillon from the show Billions. They're also on Orange is the New Black. I just saw
Mm.
them and they look like Morph. Like they've got like the buzz
Okay.
cut kind of thing. Like I look at them and I'm like, they would nail it. They would be perfect. Because they quite literally look like kind of like more for like you know what I mean, like the
Oh,
newest iteration of
yeah.
more.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And they're
Like a
also
very
in
neutral looking person.
yeah, like they could literally shape into whoever they want to be. But yeah,
Right.
they were in John Wick as well, and I think they have the action chops as well. So that's like my top pick.
Yeah.
Like I would really like Asia Kate Dillon on the list because also that's like the most proper like non-binary actor. Because Elliot Page transitioned, he kind of goes by he they pronouns. But Asia
Yeah.
Kate Dillon is like the most like strictly non-binary. Same as Alex Newell. I like that pick a lot. Of
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe and Elliot Page though, who do you think would be a better
Well,
person to put on the ballot?
I also really, really like the idea of Elliot Page, but Elliot Page was Kitty Pride.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So
All right,
that's
so
why I so wanted to,
you know
do
what? Then
that because I was like,
We'll keep
"Oh,
Daniel
they're
Radcliffe there.
perfect."
Yeah, yeah. In the spirit of the non-binary, though, do we want to just put Elliot Page? Just because I don't know if Daniel Radcliffe, as much as I would love to see him as the role, if you cast like a cis white man as Morph, like that's the
Oh,
opportunity to
people would
cast a non. But
yeah,
like that's the opportunity to cast a non-binary person. I kind of want to just do that.
right.
I don't know. We're the producers, Kels. What do we want to do?
Well,
Can we
then
call
I think
Daniel
we
in for
should
another role someday soon?
we'll definitely keep him in mind for future projects, but this is just not the one for him.
All right. Now the question is, do we want to keep Elliot Page in there? Because I mean, you know, that was back when they were presenting as female, and you know, back
Right.
when they identified as a different, you know, gender. I think it would be a cool idea to have them come back in a different. Also, because like it's Morph, so Morph can be kind of whatever.
Morph.
You know, I think this role works the best if you need to pull from a different element of the MCU. So I'm not opposed to putting Elliot Page on there because Elliot
No,
Page
me
has
neither.
not been in the MCU yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for
Are you
sure.
okay with that? Or
Yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah, just gotta
No,
know the
I
Kitty
support
Pride
this
thing, but yeah,
wholeheartedly.
okay, cool, cool, cool. So we got Alex Newell, Elliot Page, Asia Kate Dillon. I love that. Who's next? Who do we want to go to next? Do you wanna go for one of the heavier hitters, or do you want to go a little bit more niche?
Why don't we go Storm?
Yeah, okay. So one of the heavy hitters.
Okay.
This has a lot of great options. I think I limited myself to four, but like I think there's like obviously great options because you could also go older with this role. This doesn't have to
Mhm.
be a young person. I have a kind of a mix. Kelsey, I would like to hear your pick first though for Storm.
So my pick, I couldn't really find anyone better in my head is Janelle Monet, just
Oh
because I
God,
feel
that'd
like
be so good. Oh,
she
Kelsey,
has
you're
like
hitting it out of the park.
she has a very like stoic like seriousness about her when she needs it, but then she also just exudes, I feel like, the same energy as Halle Berry.
Hmm.
And I feel like, obviously she played it in the 2000s, so I just think that it would just like mirror what Halle Berry was doing so well if Janelle Monet did it.
Hmm.
Um yeah, so she's my pick for Storm.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's going on the ballot. That's a solid pick. Um, One who I went with who's like a little bit lesser known, who's like an up and comer. I saw her in a movie called what was it called? 1001 last year at Sundance Film Festival. Her name's Tiana Taylor. I think
Mm.
Tiana Taylor is incredible. I think she's a great actress. She won the Masked Singer. So like she's kind of in the realm. She was a singer. I think she was like a or no, she's collaborated with musicians. So yeah, I guess she's like a singer, actress, dancer, whatever, choreographer. She could be really good if you're looking for like more of an up and comer. If you're looking for more of like an established, like she's been around for a while, this is her due. Gabrielle Union, I thought could be like a cool pick. Um,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she also has, like, a more motherly, like, more nurturing vibe. A very out of left field pick, I think personality-wise, but I think could bring a lot to it is Kiki Palmer. I think could be really interesting. But for some
Mm.
reason, I feel like she's, like, slated to be in the MCU soon, so, like, I don't know if I wanted to pick her
Yeah.
because I feel like I've heard rumors that she might be. And then
Hmm.
lastly, an actress who I picked because I think she's really good with, like, action specifically because she was on The Walking Dead, she was on Star Trek, and that's Sonequa Martin Green, who I think just like would have a great like presence in the action sequences for it. Sonequa Martin Green. So yeah, I like all the picks though. Like Tiana Taylor, Sonequa Martin Green, Gabrielle Union, Kiki Palmer. Are any of those like reaching out to you as like a really solid like, ooh, that'd be a great pick? Or because I think this is one where I think all the actresses are so good. That's tough to narrow it down. Like I think if we're thinking more like age and like who's going to be more of the leader, I think Gabrielle Union. But I think if we're going to go based on just like something new, Kiki Palmer. If we're going to go for action, Sonequa Martin Green. And then if we're going to go for someone who's just like had given her opportunity to be a breakout, I think Tiana Taylor. So I think they all have like
Mm.
good aspects and attributes.
I really like the idea of this Tiana Taylor person,
Okay, cool.
just
We'll
because
put her
she
on.
looks really cool, and I
Yeah,
feel like she could rock like the Storm Mohawk,
I
like
agree.
really, really cool.
Cool.
Um, Kiki Palmer is another name that I came across in my findings, and I was like, "Oh, this would be great if there was like a really good role for her." I don't think Storm is it,
I agree. I think
just
it's
because I
it's a
think that
little
she still kind of exudes youth to
yeah.
me,
Okay.
and and could still kind of play a like a younger X man.
Mhm.
I
You know
just
what?
view Storm as someone who's just so
Yeah.
like regal and motherly, and you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Then do we want to keep Gabrielle Union on there too?
Yeah.
Or yeah, okay, cool. So we'll keep Gabrielle Union, Tiana Taylor, and Janelle Monáe. Let's go to the last of like the heavy hitters. Let's go Beast. Um,
Okay.
because this is the one I think you were alluding to earlier that you had Jeffrey Wright for.
Yeah, you're right.
You're
Okay,
W
because
right.
can't you just hear him, like, saying all of, like, the Beast, like, quotes where he's like,
Oh,
"Oh,
absolutely.
ba 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 ba." You know what I mean? Like, I just
Oh,
hear it in his
I've looked at the computer and I see that da 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 da. Yeah,
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 you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, he's just so Beast to me, and I don't care that he's the Watcher because I don't think there's anything
Yeah,
better. There's nothing more that
you're
I
a voice
want.
in an animated show. I don't think that should restrict you from being uh
I
in the
agree.
Beast conversation. I actually had 5 names for this one.
Okay.
Just because I didn't know what to do. Because I was like, if they go
Mm,
for like the Nicholas Holt route of like someone younger, then like
mm.
that rules out so many of the other people. But if they go for like the typical like X-Men 97, where it's like he's almost the oldest, because Kelsey Grammer's got that older vibe to him. Like I genuinely didn't know what to do. I'm gonna scratch one of the names because he is in the MCU and I just remembered, which is Daniel Kaluuya. I forgot he was in Black Panther.
Right.
And he
He's
didn't come
there.
back for the sequel, meaning he probably didn't love being in Black Panther. But another one, like again, if they're gonna go super young, I have Cooper Hoffman from Licorice Pizza, Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, because he kind of gives off that like
Oh,
kind of I thought of it in the lens of like who reminds me most of like the Mark Ruffalo because he has to kind of also be a little softer, but like the thing is Cooper Hoffman's like 20 years old, so like I don't like him. I'm gonna take him off the list. Um,
okay.
so now I'm left with two. Another person who's like very young, but I think could also still do it is Charles Melton from May December and Riverdale.
Oh,
But, like, I'm not, like,
okay.
100% in love with it either. Like, I think it's a good pick. I think
He just
he could show the softness and the intellectualism really well, which I really like,
right,
and that's the thing about Beast, but I don't know if he has, like, the imposing figure, but nowadays, like, they'd probably CGI it anyway, you know?
right.
And then the last
I
name
mean
I had,
go
let me
ahead.
just say right now, Zac Efron. Like, I don't know. I don't know. He's like Iron Claw.
Oh.
He clearly has a physique, but I think he could also kind of be like, well, I'm gonna da 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 da. I don't know though. I don't like any of those picks. I had one last name, but I'll save it for later. But I don't know.
Wait, why not just tell me now? Is it not for Beast?
No, it's for Beast, but but I wanted to first see if you like either Zac Efron or Charles Melton as an option.
I oh god, that's really interesting. I think I could get behind Zac Efron doing it before Charles Melton just
Okay.
because I just feel like I haven't seen enough of Charles Melton, and the roles that I have seen of him I haven't seen him portrayed in like a really super like smart sophisticated way yet, like cuz I've
Mm,
only really seen him from Riverdale and May December, and in May
right.
December, he's like this young guy who's been like taken advantage of by this older
Right.
woman.
I think
So
it's
it's
more the
like,
softness that I was thinking of, like, he can
yeah,
really nail the softness and elegance of it. It's just such a
it's
hard character because it's like, are they gonna go
just
CGI? Are they gonna go practical? Are they gonna go old? Are they gonna go young? Like, this is the hardest one
right.
for
Just
me.
for me, like, you have to be someone that exudes, like, intelligence and can read as, like, a super smart, brainy person, and I think Zac Efron could do that for me the most out of all of your
Honestly,
names.
I really don't like either of them, but, like, I don't know, like, looking
Okay.
around trying to think of who else could do it,
Right,
like,
right.
looking at my Blu-rays, I have no idea, like alright, I did have one last name.
Okay.
It's my name.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, "You know what? Of all these characters, like, I think I think I could do it." You know, like, I think I could do
Yeah,
the
I agree, Jill.
intellectualism with also, like, the you know?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I
I think
I
you
was
could
writing the list, I
totally
was like, "You"
be Hank
just because
McCoy.
if I wanna audition for any of these roles, this is the one I'd throw my hat in the ring for. I'm not gonna be any of the others. This is the one where I think I could pull it off the most. Um,
Yeah.
so as a joke, I put myself on there, and I think it'd be funny if we put it on the ballot just to see.
I
Um,
love it.
so we wanna put Jeffrey Wright, Zac Efron, and Dylan Randazzo on the ballot.
Yeah. Very
Okay.
polarizing picks for Beast, but I
Right.
love it.
Right? I actually think Daniel Kaluuya would be really good, which is why I put him on, but he's just I don't think he's gonna be back in the MCU. Um, all right.
Right.
So, Wright, we put Wright on the list, Jeffrey Wright. Haha. Okay, we
Yes.
got 3 more. Let's start with Jubilee because like I don't have a lot to say about Jubilee. It was tough because I wanted to kind of stay true to her Asian roots as well. Um,
Yeah.
so I went with Stephanie Shu from Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think is like one of the more obvious
Yeah.
picks. Like
Yeah.
obviously, like if they want a name and they can get her in. Was she in Shang Chi or no?
No.
Okay, I for some reason I think she's the friend at the end, that they're talking to at the
Oh,
bar.
shit, yeah, she is. She
Yeah,
is.
so like
That's her.
but that could be Jubilee, right? Like, I don't think
No,
there's
yeah,
anything
for
that's
sure.
saying she can't be that if like Gemma Chan has been in other things. And then I
Right.
actually cast the 2 daughters of Charles Melton in May December. I cast Elizabeth Yu and Piper Curda, just because like
Mm.
they're 2 young Asian girls who are like really talented, really spunky. So
Mhm.
I could see either of them being in that role. But
I was a
who did you pick?
I was avoiding, Stephanie Shu just because I think she's a little too old to
Yeah, I
play,
agree.
like,
I
the,
agree. All right, yeah, we'll scrap her.
angsty teenager.
Yeah, I'm fine keeping
So
the
I
other
was
2 because they literally play angsty teens in May, December, so I'm gonna keep them on because I like the options, but who is your pick? Because I'd like someone
so
better than Stephanie Shu.
I have 3
More
different
right,
names for
excuse me.
Jubilee.
Oh, cool. So we might
So
put more than
this is okay, so I've never actually watched this show. I've wanted to watch this show, but it's a little show called Modern Family, and, they're so the girl who
Oh,
plays,
Lily, yeah.
Lily,
Mhm.
the girl who gets adopted by, I don't know their names. Jesse
The
Tyler
gays,
Ferguson is one
yeah.
of them, and then the other one is I don't know his name off the top of my head, but her name is Aubrey Anderson Emmons, and I just think that, she played this spunky little girl for, like, 10 years on this show, so I thought that she'd be a great, like, spunky little Jubilee. Another name that I have is her name is Midori Francis. She had roles in The Sex Life of College Girls. I also know her from a Netflix show called, Dash and Lily. And she just like really
Oh, yeah,
has the
she's on Grey's
look of
Anatomy too.
Jubilee. Oh, is she?
Yeah, I think so.
I haven't seen the most latest
Oh, okay,
seasons.
gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, she's on
good for
Grey's
her.
Anatomy.
No,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
she'd be so good. Yeah, I'm putting
she's
her
a
on the
great
list
little
because I
actor,
yeah.
and she looks a lot like Jubilee as well. And then the
Mhm.
last name I had um is actually, have you ever seen To All the Boys I Loved Before, Dill?
Yeah.
Yes. So I actually have not Lana
I
Condor,
was
who
gonna
is
say
the
because
main
Lana
girl,
Condor
but
played her in the X-Men
yes.
already, yeah.
No, 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 not her, because I knew she already did it, but
Literally played that role.
the girl who plays her younger sister Kitty in those movies, her name is Anna, Cathcart, or Anna Cathcart, and
Okay.
I thought that, she just plays, like, this
Oh,
annoying,
yeah.
like, little sister in the movie, so I, like, liked
She
her
I
for
feel like
the
she's
role of Jubilee as well.
yeah, she's, like, young too, that would work really well. Okay, I like Anna
Yeah.
Cathcart. I don't love, the girl from Modern Family for some reason. I don't know. I don't see for
Okay.
some reason, she's still so young in my brain. I know she's older, but, like, I don't know, I don't see her as an
She's
action star.
17 now.
Yeah, like, yeah, I guess it fits, but I do love Midori Francis and Anna Cathcart better, so I'm
Okay.
fine putting both
Yeah.
of them on the list. Of the 2 I named, just giving other credits, Piper Curda is the one who comes home from college. She's like the 18-year
Yeah.
old. She was on Ant Farm on Disney Channel, so she's got a little spunk. She's got
Oh.
a little more spunk. And then Elizabeth Yu is the one who's the youngest sister in May December, the younger one who like takes her to school and stuff. She was also actually in the Avatar: The Last Airbender show. She plays Princess Azula, I think it is. In
Oh,
the
no
live, did you
way.
watch that one? Yeah. So I think Elizabeth Yu has more of the action chops, but I think Piper Curda could be more fun as Jubilee. Um, but I'll let you kind of decide
I'm
of those
trying
two
to.
which ones you like more. Also, I thought about the girl from what's the show?
Oh.
The Reasons I Feel Pretty or whatever. What is it? The Summer I Turned
Oh,
Pretty.
oh, the summer
Lola
I turned
Chung.
pretty.
Yeah, but she's
Oh,
also
Lola
getting a little older
Chung
too. She's getting a
or
little older
I
too,
think it's
though. Yeah.
Tongue.
Lola Tongue, sorry. Yeah, Lola
No,
Tongue.
no,
Her
you're
mother's
good.
played by Jackie Chung. That's what I got confused. Yeah. Lola Tongue, but
Oh.
I think she's still a little young, you know?
I like the look of this Elizabeth you girl.
Okay, cool. We'll put Elizabeth Yu on there then. Sweet. So Midori
She's
Francis, Anna
really
Cathcart,
pretty.
Elizabeth Yu. I actually was worried that we wouldn't get a lot of names for Jubilee, and we actually got like 6 great names. So I like that. So now
Yeah.
we rounded out with Rogue and Gambit. Both two really fun castings. I had a very obvious Gambit pick. Like I was like,
Okay,
there's
go
one
ahead.
name, and I kind of think it's the only name, but we need 3 for the ballot, so I have entertained some others. But like
Okay.
Austin Butler's the Gambit.
Oh my god.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean
yeah.
he
Okay, I
literally
can see it.
exudes Gambit. Just kind of mumbling a little bit, I don't know, like it's
Okay,
so
yeah.
Gambit
All
to me.
right, I can
But
see
I
it.
also put okay, but I also put Jacob Elordi on the list as like a backup, like because I
Okay.
would think he would belong somewhere, and I could see him doing
Yeah.
kind of a cool Gambit, like a more like kind
Yeah.
of smooth Gambit. I don't know. Who did you think? Because I
You
thought
know who
Austin Butler was like an obvious pick, and I was gonna be like, I'm sure Kelsey will roll her eyes because she had the same. But I'm glad you have something
Oh,
different.
no,
Because
so
because we
I
all know
actually
Channing Tatum was supposed to be Gambit in his own movie, and that never came to light. So
okay, well,
I don't think
that's
that's gonna happen.
I'm not missing that. Um I actually have another name that you mentioned earlier, Dill, and that's Glenn Powell.
Okay, yeah. Honestly, it fits. Of any role, Glenn Powell would be a Gambit. That works perfectly.
Yeah. He's such a
Yeah,
gambit.
he is.
And
Him
plus, like,
and
he's
I
in the
think
new
him and
Twister movie and he puts on like the little accent. I was like, oh,
yeah.
okay, this is
If you
Gambit for
feel it,
sure.
yeah. All right, you know what? I think that's our 3 right there. That's simple. Glenn Powell, Austin Butler, Jacob Elordi. It's like the 3 hot actors of the time that like everyone's like really excited about.
Yeah.
I tried to fit Paul Mescal somewhere on here. I just couldn't. I couldn't fit.
Oh,
Like this, I
wanted
don't think this
to,
would be.
but
Yeah, because he's like the other one, like of the big 4 that are rising now. Like Timothy Chalamet's already kind of burst out there. He's already up there. But like the 4
yeah.
up and comers that everyone keeps talking about is like Paul Mescal, Glenn Powell, Austin Butler, Jacob Elordi. Like those are the 4 names that people
Yeah.
are now like, okay. But yeah, we'll put Glenn Powell on Gambit. I like that as well. Yeah, it's a good role. You're right. That's a good role for him. But I think Austin Butler would also
Thank
do a
you.
really good job because
No,
Austin
I
Butler I think could do
agree.
the Cajun of it all very well, the
Right.
darkness. All right, finishing it out with Rogue. I kind of like my options a lot. But
Okay,
I
go
want to hear I
ahead.
want to hear yours first. No, I went first last time. You go first.
Okay, so the one name that I put down for Rogue that I really like a lot is Allison Brie.
Hold on. Let me. Is that who I'm
Dave
thinking of?
Dave
Oh yeah, okay,
Franco's
Alison Brie.
wife.
Duh. I yes, okay, she'd be
Who
great.
did
Yeah.
you
I when you said Alison Brie, my brain went to Allison Janney, and I had to like figure out why I was going wrong. I was like,
Oh
wait,
my god.
the old lady from I, Tanya. Wait, and then I realized
No.
you were talking about Allison Brie. Yes, Allison Brie would be great. I thought she might have been a little old, but like I think she's good. Like not saying she's old, but like older than what they might want. But it also depends on who the Gambit is. You know how
Yeah.
old they're going with the roles. Also because if they want to do like the Magneto thing, because Rogue is the hardest because in the movies she was a little kid. She was almost the
Mhm.
Jubilee, but now in this in X-Men 97, she's one of the older people.
Right.
Yeah, I like Alison Brie a lot. My favorite name that I was like, oh my God, this would be so good. Just be like, hey, sugar. Liz Gillies would be so fucking good.
Oh, that's a
She'd
good
be
pick, Dill.
fantastic. She'd be fantastic. And then the other 2 I toyed around, I thought about Rachel Zegler, but again, I don't think there's a role for her in the MCU
No.
right now in this X-Men lineup. But I really wanted to see her in like one of these roles because I think she's the best
Right.
actress,
Yeah.
one of the best. But yeah, I don't know how she fit. And the other one is actually like more of an up and comer. She was in the new Scream movie from 2021 or 2022. She's also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And she's gonna be in the new movie Honora, which is Mikey Madison.
Mm.
She's the one who in Scream ends with like a dagger and she's like lit on fire and she like runs around lit on fire. In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, she's the one who gets lit on fire and runs around with the dagger and lit on fire. So that's like a joke about her. She always is typecast as the crazy lunatic who gets lit on fire. But there's this movie that premiered at the Cannes Film Festival called Honora, which actually won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, the biggest prize at Cannes. It's about a sex worker. It's like Sean Baker makes all these like movies about like humanizing like these more taboo subjects. Like he did a movie
Uh-huh.
about transgender people. He did a movie about poverty in Florida. He did a movie about a porn star, and now he's doing a movie about like a sex worker, and she plays a
Mm.
sex worker. And there's like a clip of her from that movie where she like has this like kind of little, almost like a New York accent a little bit, and it's like very subtle. And
Mm.
I'm just like, wow, like she'd be a really interesting rogue, I think, because
Mm.
she has like the more like up and comer like mysteriousness about her, but also like she can do the accent, but also she's like clearly very charismatic on screen. So I think that'd be like a cool like out of left field pick. But I love Alison Brie. I think Liz Gillies is a solid pick.
Yeah,
Um,
like Liz Gillies a lot. That'd be great for her. I want to see her more
yeah,
because I think she's so good.
cool.
Also, Dill, a name that just came to mind. It's kind of out there. Just like prepare yourself a little bit. But Miley Cyrus.
Oh my god, that'd be so good. Shit, who do we get off now? Who do we take off? Because I really like Liz Gillies and I really like Mikey Madison, but like, oh my
I'm
god,
down to replace Miley Cyrus with Alison Brie. I think I like
really?
her a little bit more for
I,
it.
I love that pick. Okay, yeah, because I love Miley Cyrus. That's such a good idea. We have like some really interesting castings. Okay, I'm just gonna run through them, just so you guys can hear them one more time before you guys go vote on the ballots. Wolverine. It is between John Boyega, Shia LaBeouf, and Jeremy Allen White. Professor X, Morgan Freeman at a ripe 87. Killian
Okay.
Murphy and Giancarlo Esposito. Magneto, Jason
Mm.
Isaacs, Killian Murphy, and Coleman Domingo. Rogue, Miley Cyrus, Liz Gillies, Mikey Madison, Gambit, Glenn Powell, Austin Butler, Jacob Elordi, Jubilee, Midori Francis, Anna Cathcart, Elizabeth Yu, Storm, Janelle Monáe, Tiana Taylor, Gabrielle Union, Beast, Jeffrey Wright, Zac Efron, Dylan Randazzo, Cyclops, Jacob Elordi, Mike Feist, and Taylor Lautner, Jean Grey, Victoria Pedretti, Shailene Woodley, and Emma Watson, and Morph, Elliot Page, Asia Kate Dillon, and Alex Newell. I love that. I love any of those outlooks combinations. I really don't know who I'd pair with who. Like
Yeah.
looking at Gene and Gambit, like or Gene, sorry, Rogue and Gambit. Like I think Miley Cyrus and Austin Butler would actually be a really good pair. And then I think like
Mm.
Liz Gillies would pair really well with Glenn Powell, and Mikey Madison would pair really well with Jacob Elordi. Like I think there's like some
Yeah.
screen tests we can do,
Yeah,
with
we
these
need to see
actors.
it in the screen
Yeah,
test and the
but
chemistry reads.
you are going to decide who gets the final callback, and then we are going to have all the actors on air to audition for the roles, and we'll cast the X-Men here in live in the next episode, right, Kels? We're having them all on.
Yep.
Yep, I just got off
Yes.
the phone with Glenn actually right before we recorded, so he's all set. He's all good.
Perfect.
You'll be seeing his jet over in just a sec. But yeah, that
Good
was
to
it
good.
for casting the next Men of X-Men. We hope you liked that little experiment, and please go vote on the Facebook polls for who you want to see in the roles. Kels, this was so much fun. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick, or you can follow my TikTok. My TikTok.
Follow me TikTok.
Kelsey. Follow me TikTok
Follow me
at
TikTok now.
Kelsey
It's
A.
right at the
Kil.
end of the rainbow. Just follow it to the pot of gold.
Oh my God, are you? That's like being a bigot towards my people, Dill.
No, no, no. I was just quoting my favorite cereal, Kels. Come
I
on.
know, I know. I'm just teasing you.
It's not actually my favorite cereal. My favorite cereal is the one with the tiger on it. Yeah. Is that it?
Great.
Sorry. Did
My
you finish
favorite,
plugging?
my yeah, my favorite cereal is Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Cool. Bye, y'all.